So my name is Keri Barnum. I'm the marketing director for New Shelves Books, and let's get started. The first question comes in from David Gates. Bowker, Ingram Spark, and Amazon all have different requirements, word count, character count, etc. What is the best way to keep a description consistent across all various platforms? Well, here's the thing, David. You need more than one description, to be honest. Bowker is meant really for booksellers. It's meant for the industry. So you should have a short, concise description. Same thing for Ingram Spark. Generally, the people on Ingram Spark, of course, that goes to Ingram. And that book, unless it is hardcover, that book is really only being sold and the description being used for wholesale. So that's, to your book buyers, your librarians, that kind of thing. So short, concise, and to the point. Now on Amazon, that goes directly to your consumer. So when you're using KDP directly for the consumer, you can use a little bit more marketing language, to be honest. You can say, this book is for you. If you are having problems sleeping at night, getting up in the morning, and tossing and turning with anxiety, then you need my book, Sleep Forever, whatever it is. You can also, when you're on Amazon and KDP, which is a marketing platform, you can use things like, are you ready to find out to have the best night of your, best sleep of your life? Go buy this now. So you can use a little bit more call to arms language there, but you really should have more than one description, and that description should update. I know your book cover is pretty much set, right? You do it and that's done, but your marketing language should be updated from time to time. It keeps your SEO hot, it keeps your keywords moving. So I don't think that there is one way to have everything consistent. I think it's more important that you are utilizing each platform to the best of what it offers you, and that you have your key messaging straight, and then play with the description, see what sells. I've even done on KDP, our print book will have one description and the ebook will have another description. I like to see if it makes any difference in like clicks and sales and things like that. So don't be afraid to play with that. All right. Let's see. Pat, is there another service to send scheduled newsletters with other than MailChimp? Absolutely. So there are several mailing things that you can use. MailChimp is one of the most popular. It is one of the user-friendly options that we like to use. However, there are other platforms out there if you search them, and they will range from super high tech to not as much. I think Infusionsoft is one of them, and I know there are a couple other. I'm blanking out here right now. We use MailChimp. They did change their pricing model in the last year, I'd say, so they are not as cheap as they used to be. However, they do have a free option for people with a smaller mailing list. I believe it's for people under 1,000 mailing contacts. So absolutely check them out, do a search, see what works for you, and then try them out. A lot of them have free options, so try them out and see which option you like the best. I have people who are like, I hate MailChimp, it's so hard to use, and they like a different option. For me, I like MailChimp because I'm used to it. So always search, always look, because there's also a lot of up and coming companies that if you get in early, you'll be able to do those, so it's fun. Right. Linnea says her chat box isn't working, but the Q&A is. I'm sorry the chat box is not working. MailerLite and AWeber. Sorry, Linda just reminded me. MailerLite and AWeber. Those are two very popular mailing options like MailChimp. Thank you, Linda. Said I totally blanked on that one. I'm sorry the chat box isn't working, Linnea, but feel free to just put it right in the Q&A box. That's just fine. And Linda Lynn says, it is raining in LA. Looks like it's a rainy California day. I did not mention GetResponse, Anna. That's a good one too. So far we've got MailerLite, Aweber, and GetResponse. Those are all options that you can look into. All right. Is it true that Pinterest prefers photos over video when it comes to book promotion? That's loaded, Paul. I think the thing with Pinterest is that having videos on Pinterest is newer. They started with photos, and videos is something that they've moved into slowly. And I think that what can happen is with video, it's slow. It's not, it's when you have a photo, you know exactly what you're going to get as soon as you see it. And that is what Pinterest is. People are scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. They see something that catches their eye and they click on it, they pin it, they go to the website. A video, and what I find all often with book promotional videos, is they rarely start with a bang. They are slow to build up. It's got a little bit of drama, explanation type of thing. So I can see easily where people would scroll right past. I think that if you want to do video on Pinterest, you need to make sure that your opening slide is, you know, very to the point, that you almost create that opening slide like a Pinterest photo. However, I do think that Pinterest is rewarding people who are using videos because it's new, and most online platforms and social media platforms do reward people for trying their new features because they're using you as a guinea pig. So I think it's really important that you go ahead and you play with that. And let us know. I'd love to know what works for you and what you've been trying. And I think it will depend on your genre. It'll depend on your topic. So play around and let us know how it's working out. All right. And David, what's the best or recommended response to people who ask what I feel are sensitive questions, like how much did you make from me? How much did you pay to make or publish your book, etc.? So David, it depends on exactly what you're asking. If people are asking you how much you make per book, um, man, I think it depends on the person. Is this the average reader? Is this your mom? That kind of thing. And I think it's just like any personal question. If you're comfortable answering it, great. If not, then you just say something like, well, I'm not really in it for the money. I do it because I really care, or because I like to write. This topic was really interesting to me. I do it because I wanted to share my wealth, my knowledge on this topic. There are so many ways that you can answer around that. And honestly, if it's someone that you're close to that's consistently asking these questions, I'm going to put my Dr. Phil hat on here. I think it just comes to the point of saying, you know, I don't really want to talk about it. But that's a very, exactly, Joanna says, tell them to mind their own business. I was trying to say that diplomatically, but I mean, I think that's what it is. Now, if it's a client, if it is someone who is working that way with you, you probably don't want to just say mind your own business. I'd use a more gentle response, but I would absolutely not answer. I mean, if you're not comfortable. Now, if someone says, I'm interested in self-publishing my own book, can you tell me about how much it cost to publish your book? Well, then, I mean, I think if you're comfortable, be honest. You know, publishing your own book, depending on how much work you want to do yourself, can cost anywhere from $2,000 to $15,000. It really depends on your book, how much work you're willing and able to put into it, and how much skill you have in the industry. And so I think if it's an author asking for that reason, you know, it just depends. I think that's almost more of a relational question, but I hope that helped. All right. Is that snow behind you? Joni, that is snow. It is April 10th in Western New York, and it is snowing actively. And this is why we love spring break, and so many people travel during spring break, but not this year. All right. Can you speak to which social media platforms work best for promoting nonfiction books? Pluses and minuses of each. P.S. I came in a bit late, so you may have missed this. So no, we didn't miss this. We're all good. My name is Keri, and I'm the marketing director of New Shelves Books, because you asked, I didn't read that. But so social media platforms that work best for nonfiction, it depends on your genre. Um, Believe it or not, mental health is huge on Twitter. There's a huge community there, so that's really good. If you were heavily business focused, LinkedIn is a good spot for you. If your nonfiction book, let's say it's cooking, it's a cookbook, Facebook is huge, Instagram because it's pictures, Pinterest because people are looking for recipes. I would say the important thing is that you very specifically find your audience and where they hang out. Is your nonfiction book for 20-somethings graduating college, or is it a nonfiction book for doctors and nurses? Find out where those people hang out online, and that's where you go. I really like Pinterest because it's got longevity. People are still pinning a pin I put up 4 years ago. It's really popular, still goes. You won't see people liking a Facebook post from 4 years ago unless I, say it's a memory and put it back up. So I think it's important that Pinterest is very good for longevity. If Pinterest is not your thing, if it's more of a speaker thing, YouTube has the same longevity where people aren't really going, oh, that video's old, I'm not going to watch it. If it's a topic that they want to see, then they will keep going back to it. If your audience needs a lot of updates, if your topic or the thing that you mostly speak on is something that it has a lot of updates. Let's say you wrote a book on infectious disease, and now that COVID is going crazy, you have a lot of updates. Well, Twitter or Facebook would make the most sense for that because they're easy to update often. So find your audience and then cater to them. Go where they want to be at and where they are, because otherwise you will be fighting to pull them over to the platform you're trying to use. All right, how much should I pay for editing and proofreading for my 7,000 word children's book? That depends on the editor and the proofreader. There are different skill levels. There are people breaking into the industry who maybe they just graduated college and they don't have a ton of experience, and they will be much less. However, if you get a professional editor who specializes in children's book, they specialize in the cadence of words and the sound, they will be more. Again, it depends on the editor. I would say you are looking at $500 probably and up. But it depends. You can find cheaper people. You can find people break out, and that doesn't mean they're not good. There are some very young, up-and-coming people who are excellent. However, if you are looking for someone who's tried and true, who has a lot of experience, you will be paying for that experience. I think mostly you need to be looking at what kind of editing are you looking for? Are you looking for the construction? Are you looking for someone who will actually help you get that cadence right? Or are you looking for a line edit, someone who's literally looking at your grammar and making sure that you're all set there? Kate, I see that you're raising your hand. If you want to drop anything in the chat box or the Q&A, please feel free to do that. We're kind of a free-for-all here. Same for you, Rich. Just type something in the chat box or the Q&A, and I would be happy to answer. Miss Anna says, is it better to use my book title or my author name when using Twitter? I personally would say, if you can, if your name is not too common, if your name is Jane Doe, it probably is not best to use your name. However, if your name is not super, super mainstream, if it's not something that a lot of people are using on social media, I like when authors use their name. That way they can expand beyond one book. However, if you have it's just one book and that's it, or you have a series, like it's Chicken Soup for the Soul, well, that series kind of encompassed a lot, so you can do that there. But if your name is Jane Doe, use your book title, use something like that. And I think that's fine. But most importantly is that you are consistent, that no matter if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, or you're on Pinterest, that your handle is the same or as close to the same as possible. That way people can easily find you on different platforms. All right. And yes, Linnea made a great suggestion. She said you can always ask an editor to do a sample and give you an estimate or a price, which I always recommend. I would never hire someone without knowing their work, without having a sample, and without having a clear estimate. So that's for sure great advice. All right. Linda says, we need to fix Rick's Pinterest site. Do you know of any fiction authors who have a great presence on Pinterest so we can see what they're doing right now? Oh man. Off the top of my head, I'll be really honest and say no. I think that traditionally published authors haven't really pushed into Pinterest for most of what I've seen. I think it's something that self-published and indie published authors are using, and it's very smart. But I can't think of any off the top of my head who are doing Pinterest really well. But now I'm going to go look, and if I find one, I will let you know. And Linda, if you find any, let me know. That way we can both be smarter. And also, what is an Instagram story and how do you go about it? Great question. I love Instagram stories because Instagram is a platform where you really only want to post once, maybe twice a day. Anything more than that is overwhelming because the way their algorithms work, Instagram will show posts that are older if they know the person's interested in them. So if you post 5 times and it's someone who follows you or usually looks at your posts, and you post 5 times, they show up 5 times in a row and it's obnoxious. So what I like about stories is it's a good way to stay in touch, to keep constant updates without flooding anyone's feed. An Instagram story can be something you share. So if you're on Instagram and you see something you absolutely love, like I love to cook and I'm a total foodie, and there's a chef named David Chang, and he's in New York City, and he's in that area. And so he's doing these COVID-19 cooking stories where he's like, this is what we got on hand and this is what I'm making. I never make it in a restaurant. Absolutely love him. And so he has these stories, he's got these videos, and I've shared them to my stories. I'm just like, man, I love these. And so there's an option for sharing, and you just share to your story, and that goes in your story, and that goes away after a certain amount of time, usually, unless you said it otherwise. So that way it kind of is something that's there and it's gone. If people are interacting with you in the moment, it's there. If not, it doesn't. Same thing, there's a share story button. You can do a live video, you can do a screenshot. Just know it's something that is meant to kind of go up and then go off. And if people reply to it, if they respond to it, react to it, it goes directly to your messages. It doesn't stay on your feed long term. All right. All right, Lori, I was hoping to launch my book this spring and have delayed it, thinking January 2021 due to the virus. My book is a social justice book. Your thoughts? Well, Lori, I think it really depends on if your book is relevant right now. So you said social justice. If it has to do with certain cases or certain news topics that are up right now, I'd encourage you to rethink that and see if you maybe want to get it out there. Will it be stale in January 2021? If not, if you were thinking, hey, it's gonna still be just as fresh then as it is now, I think waiting could be a good idea. Unfortunately, none of us know. We just don't know what will happen to the book and publishing industry in the next couple of months. We know that a lot of bookstores are closing right now. Many indie bookstores are actually doing curbside pickup. They're delivering. My local bookstore, Liftbridge, is doing that. So it could just be a totally different game. We really don't know. I think that if your book can wait, I think waiting a little bit and then rethinking your plans once, the COVID-19 and the quarantine stuff is kind of Not so fresh could be smart, but it depends on your book. I think if it's something that is hot right now, if it's topics that people would be into right now, and it won't be as much in 6 months and a year, well, then take that into consideration. All right, we've got Miss Suzette Webb. Hi, Suzette. Why does Amazon seem to offer your ebook for free while you're running an ad? Their approach is hurting sales. Well, Amazon never offers your ebook for free. The only thing that I can think of is that maybe you're in Kindle Unlimited, and if you're in Kindle Unlimited and you're running an ad from the advertising platform, it will show your ebook as free. However, all that means is that people on Kindle Unlimited can read for free, but of course you get paid per page. But the price, so let's say your book is $6.99. Yeah, I know. So Suzette's saying she's on Kindle Unlimited, and I go, I know, I just looked at it. But so if your book is $6.99, it will still sell for $6.99 if someone outright buys it. However, many people, and I think when you're running Amazon ads, you do have to take this into consideration. I have this client, and she has a 5-book series, and she runs ads. If you look at her ads and you look at her straight sales, you're going, she's losing money. Why would she run these ads? However, if you look at her Kindle Unlimited page reads, she tends to have anywhere from 300,000 to 500,000 every single month when she runs ads. When she doesn't run ads, that plummets. So she makes her money on the Kindle Unlimited page reads, not on the straight out sales. So if you're in Kindle Unlimited, you really have to look at your page reads and your book sales to get an idea of if those ads are profitable for you or not. All right. Question from Rich. I want to create a $2,000 per month residual income. What is the best way to do that without requiring a lot of time or technical expertise? Rich, I think right now, if you are trying to create, I know that you're working on classes and things like that, and I think you can't really do that without technical help because it's just what it is, especially today when everyone's stuck at home, everything is online. However, you can hire people for a fair amount. If you go to Fiverr or a place like Fiverr, you can find people who are experts in technical and video, and you can work with them at a very fair amount to get some videos made that can then go up on a platform, and you can sell those in in the years to come. So I think that classes like that, where people pay to get a video or a class, are very popular, and I think that's probably the best way for what you're looking for and with that question. All right. Let's see. I'm going to make sure I didn't miss anything over here on the side. All right. Kate asks, hi, is it better to pay an editor before or after the author is done editing? Well, here is the thing. I think you're saying like actually pay them. If you're asking when to pay an editor, many of them will require a partial payment up front, and then you pay the remainder when the job is complete and you're both satisfied. And that's fair. It's fair that they would expect to have half up front and then things going back. Rich, you're asking about Ty, and I don't know who Ty is, but it's just me today, so I'm so sorry if perhaps we were looking for someone else today, but it's just me. All right. So yes, now if you were asking if it's better to get an editor after you've done your edits, I would say a little bit of both. Generally, the author will write their manuscript, they will self-edit, they will go to an editor, and then they will work with the editor to make sure that the edits put in place still speak the author's voice. I think I answered that, but if you have more questions, let me know. All right. April says, my book was selected by the mayor as the book choice for a big book club. The club meeting is in May, likely virtually because of the current situation. What would you say is the single most important thing for me to do to market this opportunity to potential readers? First off, congratulations, April. It's very exciting. I think that I would be posting to social media. I would tag the mayor. You know, I'm so honored that Tag My Mayor chose my book as the book of choice for your book club. Absolutely flattered. I would possibly see if after or during their virtual book club, if they'd like you to come and answer questions. If there is a way that you can then connect to that book club, then you are connecting to, 5, 10, 25, 30 people that then, if you connect with them, are more likely to recommend your book again. So absolutely, I think you should do that. I think if you can get anyone from that book club to give you a quote or review about how it worked out as a book club read, I think that's helpful in encouraging other book clubs to use your book as well. So I think that's how I would be using it. And like I said, congratulations. It's really exciting. Suzanne, how does Kindle Unlimited work? You said page read. Do you get paid for each page read? And how do you offer your book through Kindle Unlimited? So Kindle Unlimited is through KDP, and authors have the choice for their ebook only to put their book on Kindle Unlimited through the Kindle Select program. Kindle Select requires that your ebook is offered exclusively on Amazon. This does not work if you have wide distribution. If your ebook is available at Barnes & Noble, on iBooks, and blah, 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 it's not a candidate for Kindle Select. However, if you're putting up your ebook and you are willing to only offer that ebook on Kindle Select and Amazon, you can go on the Kindle Select program. And people who have a Kindle Unlimited membership, I believe it's like $9.99 a month, something like that. Those people on Kindle Unlimited can read as many books as they want per month for free through the Kindle Unlimited program. The way the authors get paid is by the page. So what happens is that Kindle Unlimited tracks all of the pages read under the Kindle Unlimited. They also track how much people paid into that program every month. And then every month, they calculate out the page reads versus how much they made in Kindle Unlimited. They divide it out and they pay the author by the page. It's not much by the page, I'll be honest. However, there are many readers who will try a book on Kindle Unlimited because it doesn't cost them anything. If they read 10 pages and they hate it, it doesn't hurt them. So it gives you more opportunities, especially for people in fiction. So nonfiction, I think, is hit or miss. I think people tend to buy those books anyway. But if you're in fiction, you tend to have voracious readers, especially in romance, mystery, thrillers, and those people are reading a lot of books. And so that can be a great opportunity for you to open a new market. Also, Amazon will automatically kind of promo you sometimes and boost your algorithm into the Kindle Unlimited network. So you've got that. ACX and Audible, how do they pay? Is it according to time spent listening? I do not believe so. I believe Audible actually pays you per read because those are credit. Audible is not unlimited audiobooks per month, Anna. It is, you get a credit. So you pay a cheaper amount. It's like you pay $13, $14 a month for a credit, and you can get any book you want. And sometimes those books are on Audible are like $32, $28. So it's cheaper for the person to get a credit every month. But it's not like you can skip around for Audible. All right, and Suzanne's asking, how's Kindle Unlimited for memoir? It really depends. Again, it could be hit or miss. What I like about Kindle Unlimited is it's a 90-day contract. So you can do it for 90 days, see if you're getting love there, and if you are, stay there. But if you're not, then after 90 days, you select out of the program and you can go wide. So we've got that. And I think you really got to try memoir. It depends on what it's on, honestly. Memoir, it tends to go more towards a nonfiction audience where people are reading and they're reading a little bit more slowly. But it depends on your topic, to be frank. All right, I've got another question over here to this side. Let me see. Several magazines have best of the year books for specific topics. For example, best children's STEM books. What might be the best approach to get a book considered for these lists for 2020? Sent to the magazine or to specific reviewers who reviewed books for previous year's lists. So if you're trying to be featured in a magazine on a best of list or an award, usually the magazine or the publication has a process. So if you've seen those books, let's say it's Highlight Magazine or something like that, and you've seen a list, then it's best to go to the Highlight Magazine and research best of awards. And then when you do that, you have the option, many times they'll be like, to submit a book for 2021, send your submission here. You can certainly just send it into the person who reviewed. However, if it's a year ago, that person may no longer work for the publication. They may have been an independent contractor writing reviews for a book. So if you're trying specifically for a magazine or publication list, I would go to that magazine or publication rather than straight to the reviewer. All right, we've got a little break in our online questions. So I'm going to go over to our email questions. All right, we have a question from Wendy. I've heard you say many times how we should have our books in the MARC database. Could you please comment on the below, as this person did not get my book into a MARC database? All right, so basically the question is that Wendy used someone to catalog her book for PCIP, I believe, and that person did not get the book into the MARC database, and she asked about it. And the person said, I cannot provide MARC records at this time. I looked into it extensively a while back and finally decided against it, largely because I concluded that they're an unnecessary thing for a small publisher to provide. And basically the response here is that the person said she doesn't think a MARC record is worth it to provide, because once it's put into the system, it's bought, the librarian then will catalog it and it will go into the MARC record and go into worldcat.org. So Wendy, that is true. However, what we found is that many times librarians do not catalog into the MARC record because it's more work for them. Not everyone uses WorldCat. And also on top of that, it can take months. They can have a book and it will take them months to catalog it because it's just not top priority. So I would say, can you have a PCIP without a MARC record? Absolutely. However, I personally would go with a cataloging librarian for a PCIP block that does the MARC record. There's no reason not to get one. It's nice to have your book in the worldcat.org website and in their database so that you can look and see who is cataloging your book. It makes it easier for the librarians. And we use the Donahue group. They are fantastic, and it is fairly inexpensive to add on an ebook when you're getting your print book done. I think it's smart. Can you get around it? Probably. But if it were me, I would be going and getting the print and ebook done together so you get into the MARC database. And like I said, we use the Donahue group. They're very reasonably priced. They do great work and they're quick. Hope that helps you there. How do you find out if a book is in the MARC database? The easiest way, Linnea, is to go straight to worldcat.org and search your book, your ISBN, but the way to get in there usually is through a Library of Congress number or a PCIP. And we've got a question, what is a PCIP? A PCIP is a publication, it's a catalog block for librarians, and it's basically a value-added feature that helps librarians catalog your book. You send your book information to a cataloging librarian, and they send you back this block that then tells librarians everything they need to catalog your book. It lets them know where to shelve it, It lets them put it right into their system quickly. It's a value added feature, and it's a really a good thing to have. Again, it's not expensive. I believe it's like $150 for a book to have it in this system. It makes it easier for the librarian, which makes them more likely to buy and catalog your book. All right. Can you recommend the best book awards for independently published authors to apply for? Joni, it depends on your book genre. I really like if you go to the Ally, the Alliance for Independence Publishers. It's ALLI. They have a watchdog list of awards where you can type in different topics, different genres, or different awards and see how they get rated. Some of them, I'm afraid, don't mean much. They give you a gold star and it's like, yay, I won. But it's basically you're paying for this award and the publishing industry knows it and it doesn't mean much. However, some awards have they have really good reputations. One of those is the Ben Franklin Award from the IBPA. So I would look for your genre and then go to the Ally website and do their watchdog feature. But it will be different book awards for every book. All right. All right, Miss Annette. What's the best way to reconnect with the mailing list of readers I haven't emailed in a long while? I don't want to appear spammy. Ooh, that's going to be hard. I think what we're seeing right now, as everyone's home, as everyone is, a lot of people are out of work, we're seeing a lot of sales emails come in. And I think that if you haven't been in touch with readers for a while and you suddenly email them, they will be suspicious. um, it depends on why you're emailing them. If you have something free to offer them, if you can say, hey, we haven't been in touch for a while, but everyone's home right now. Everyone's kind of looking for things to do. And I wanted to offer you this free ebook. Please take a copy. If you feel like reviewing it, it'd be so appreciated. And that's how you get in touch. That will probably feel better than if you're trying to sell them something. But it depends. But I think right now the thing to do is get in touch because you really care or get in touch to offer them something. If you get in touch just to sell them something right now, I'm afraid it would do more harm than good, and you probably would lose quite a few subscribers. All right. All libraries are closed due to COVID-19. Is it still a viable strategy to promote to the ALA at this time? My book was chosen for the ALA book list digital magazine March 15th. Well, Anna, not all libraries are closed. Many of them are, but not all. And what we're seeing is many librarians are still, they're reading their emails. They're buying new books. They're finding new books because as people are home, they are reading more. They are using the online systems to check out books. And they are, I think a lot of librarians many times are so busy serving their patrons that they don't have the time to find new authors, to look into new books. And many librarians are using that time right now. So if you were featured in a digital magazine, congratulations. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think, like I said, a lot of librarians are actually looking into new books right now, even though libraries are closed. And again, we just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if libraries will open up in 3 weeks. We don't know if it will be, 3 months. But I think if I were going to market right now to either bookstores or libraries, I'd be focusing on libraries, just because I know many of them are still working. But that's really a hard call. I think now is the time to build our communities. Now is the time to provide value, and be very careful about where you're selling and how you're selling, because a lot of people just don't have the bandwidth for that right now. What are some good ways to promote positive reviews or blurbs that a book receives from a specific known person, not an anonymous Amazon review? So if you have a great review, if it is an Amazon review, you can make graphics for social media that just pulls out, you know, the key point, and you can post it to social media and say, oh, I got this review and it made me so happy that people are liking my book. Feel free to go check it out. You do, you know, the link. If it is a review from like a blogger or something like that, put it in your editorial reviews on Amazon, on Ingram Spark. And you can still do the social media thing, but make sure you get it in your editorial reviews. And if you are doing social media with it, again, you can kind of use that to tag people. If it is someone, let's say, let's go big. Let's say Time Magazine just said your book is the best thing ever. Well, then you can absolutely repost that, tag them, and say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Time Magazine just said my book is awesome. So feel free to tag people in there. Thank them for the awesome review. I think that's a nice way to kind of call attention to a review without going sell, sell, sell. You thank someone for their review, and it makes them feel good. It makes you feel good. And if you're tagging them, their audience sees it as well as your own audience. All right. Sonia, if you could just email me, that would be great. If you send it in to Keri@newshelves.com, I can make sure that we get in touch. So it's Keri, Keri, @newshelves.com. And I will make sure that we get in touch. All right, if you self-publish, how do you sell in a bookstore? So if you self-publish your own book and you want to get into bookstores, you need to be available for wholesale, or your book does. And the easiest way to do that is to upload your manuscript to Ingram Spark. When you upload to Ingram Spark, they then distribute it over to Ingram, and then Ingram sells into bookstores and libraries. However, when you do that, you have to have a trade discount. If you want bookstores to carry your book, when you're uploading to Ingram Spark, which is a print-on-demand printer, then you need to set your book discount at 55%. 55%. Because then what happens is Ingram Spark prints your book, they take their money, then they transfer it over to Ingram, and Ingram actually is your wholesaler who will sell it to bookstores. When bookstores get it, between Ingram Spark and Ingram taking their cut, bookstores get a 40% discount. And when that happens, they need that 40% because then they still have to pay their overhead. They have to pay for their store, their employees, and they still want to make a profit on your book, or else there's no reason to sell it. So the best way for an indie author to get into bookstores is to go through Ingram Spark for your book distribution, and then you have to, of course, market to bookstores. All right. How do you get a review or blurb into editorial reviews? Great question. If you have a review that you would like to go on editorial review for your book, you need an Author Central account. Author Central is free. It's connected to KDP and Amazon. Go to I think it's amazon.authorcentral.com. But if you go to Author Central, you sign up for a free account, which you should do anyway if you have a book. It's like a landing page or platform website on Amazon all about you and your books. You claim your book, and then when there's a book tab, you click on that, and there's an option to enter an editorial review. You copy and paste your review over. It's really not hard, but if you haven't gotten into Author Central, I encourage you, go do that, claim your profile, and then start exploring all the neat things you can do from the author notes. You can upload videos, so many great things to do. Okay, is it true that readers can't leave an Amazon review if they didn't buy the book on Amazon? That is not true. The way that Amazon works is most products on Amazon you have to buy on Amazon to review. However, the book industry is different. Anyone that has an Amazon account and who has purchased at least $50 of product from Amazon in the last year can leave a review. You do have to buy $50 worth of product, and that cannot be a subscription. This is not Amazon Prime subscription or anything like that. $50 of product every year have to be bought on this account to make it verified to leave a review. Then anyone can leave a book review. However, when you leave a book review on Amazon and you did not buy a book from Amazon, your review, no matter how good it is, kind of goes to the bottom of the pack. It's not weighted as well as if you buy the book on Amazon, which makes you a verified buyer, and then you leave a review. And the reason why Amazon does that is because they want to make sure that they're getting legitimate reviews out there. And the only way that they can verify that someone actually has the book, and hopefully read it, is by making sure that they bought it from there. So anyone can leave a review on Amazon. However, they do have to fit the criteria of Amazon account, $50 in sales that year, or product they bought. And Amazon can take a review down. If they say, April's my best friend and I just love her book because she wrote it and I love her, well, Amazon will probably take that down as a biased review. However, if someone goes and writes a review and just says, this is a great book, loved it, it was fantastic, they don't mention you personally, it will probably stay up even if they did not buy on Amazon. What is the most effective book marketing message an author can share with readers during this challenging time? I think what we're seeing in that is that the best message that authors can share is, we're all in this together. We're all in this together. It's connecting, it's adding value. This is a time where I'm seeing a lot of authors really effectively build their communities. Instead of pushing their books, they're doing a free day. If you're in Kindle Select, you have 5 free days every 90 days. They're doing, look, everyone, I dropped my book to 99 cents. If you want it, go get it. I'm, trying to help those who maybe don't have as much income right now. And also just being online, building that community, putting funny memes out there. I think now is the time when people are connecting rather than selling. And so I think that's the best thing an author can do right now. I know it stinks, but people are buying books. And if you're connecting with people online and they like you and they know you're an author, they will probably go look at your books. And if you are connecting with them, they will be more likely to want to support you. So we're seeing a lot of people, as they're connecting with people, there are ripple effects that are actually selling their books. But I think now it's just a time to support and connect with each other. Because it's such a weird time, right? All right, let's go over to the side. Thank you, Bob. Absolutely. I mean, I just think we have this great opportunity. The writing community is huge, and it's so fun, and it's supportive, and readers are great, right? I mean, it's a fun community, and I think right now we just have this very unique opportunity to build each other up, to bring brightness, to bring laughter, and I love that people are doing that. Bob, I've seen some of your drawings and your cartoons, and I've seen so many of our people say, I have a cookbook and usually I don't share my recipes for free, but what the heck, you probably have this in your pantry right now. The stuff way in the back that you kind of weren't using for 3 years, but now you're desperate. So I think that's absolutely the best we can do. 2 more questions over by email, so let's hop over there. All right. Hi, Barbara here. Thank you for so much information. Barbara, glad you're getting a lot out of these calls. I will be publishing the 2nd edition of a children's book. I was told I can keep reviews linked to the ebook of an earlier edition. You absolutely can. If you do a new edition of your book, you can keep your reviews on Amazon. I'm having a pretty spiffy new cover design by Bookfly. The problem is that it looks tons better without the punctuation of the first book. However, I don't want to risk losing reviews. Does the punctuation on the cover have to be identical in order to keep the same book and make it a new edition and transfer over those reviews? So Barbara, and you also asked about library cataloging. So that's like a 3-point question. Let's cover it. If you do a new edition of your book, you can absolutely connect it on Amazon. You can do a new edition, you link the books, and what they do is they show the newest book, but you get all your reviews come over from the old edition. Absolutely recommend you do that if you haven't, because who wants to lose reviews? No one. So as you're doing that, link your books. Yes. However, if you change your title at all, it is no longer a new edition. It is a new book, and you cannot link those books. So what I would say is that if your book cover, which is essentially a piece of art, looks better without the punctuation, but the words are all the same, I would recommend that you treat the book cover like a piece of art. Leave out the punctuation, but on your title page, on your official title, keep it exactly the same, but a second edition, third edition, whatever it is. That way you can transfer everything over, but you get the beautiful art of your cover. Now, if you're changing words, that's different. Your cover and your title page have to be the same. They have to have the same wording on there in the same order. As far as your publication block, your PCIP or Library of Congress number, that is new for every ISBN. And if you're doing a new edition, you have a new ISBN. So you have to get that redone, unfortunately. It doesn't travel with the book, it travels with the ISBN. So I would recommend that if you can do it, and honestly say the only thing different is the punctuation not being there, go ahead with the cool artwork on your book cover. Keep your title exactly the same. Make sure the title page is exactly the same as the old edition, and make sure that you update your PCIP or your Library of Congress number for the new ISBN. Final question over on email. All right. Looking at proofreaders and cover designers, exactly what do they do for me? How much do they charge? And how long do they take? And how do I find them? Great question. So proofreaders and cover designers, you can find them in a couple ways. You can go to places like 99designs.com, Fiverr, but my favorite way is to find a book cover that you like and go see if that person lists their cover designer. If they do, go search for them. If not, you can always ask. Sometimes people will tell you they're happy to give a great cover designer new work. And I think look at people's work, look at their online designs, make sure that what they're doing is current with the market and that it's professional looking. You do get what you pay for with cover design. However, you don't have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for a great cover design. I have seen great work come from people on 99 Designs for $300 to $500. It really depends on your book, your genre, and how much of an idea you have and how you'll be directing that designer. A cover designer generally depends on what you contract them for, but a cover designer generally will give you a full PDF rep print cover for your book. They will give you a high-res front cover for your ebook, and if you have a hardcover, they'll do a jacket. You have to give them some concept. You have to give them some direction. They generally will come up with around 3 concepts and they'll kind of say, is this what you meant? And then you kind of work together from there. How long does it take? Depends on your designer and depends on how quick you get back to them. I've had cover designs take 3 months because it's just back and forth and things were slow. I've also had a cover design be done in 3 days. So again, it really depends on your designer. I think those expectations should be talked about before you start work and before you contract with them. As a proofer's job is really, they're not an editor. They are not looking to make sure that your grammar is set correctly. A proofer is someone who's reading through a book or looking at a book cover, whatever it may be, and they are looking for obvious proof errors. So formatting issues, sometimes when something's formatted, you've got something that's a paragraph and suddenly it's chopped off and you got a blank half page and then it's down at the bottom. A proofer checks for that. A proofer is checking for, they had a period here and then this letter wasn't capitalized. They are looking for that kind of thing. They are proofing work. And again, it depends on how big your book is. If you have a 7,000 word children's book opposed to a 50,000 word novel, then obviously it'll take less time. And it also depends on that proofer. So again, that's something that you should clearly state out. Most of them will take a week to 2 weeks, depending on their job load and if they're doing it full time or not. How much they charge depends on the proofer. I know we said this earlier today, that it really just depends on both the level of expertise as well as their experience. So find someone, ask for either proof of work before. So if it's cover designer, I would be asking that they show you their portfolio, make sure that what they're designing is in line with what you actually want to present your book. If it's a proofer, it's okay to ask them for a sample of their work, and then also ask for an estimate and a time estimate as well. And you asked one more question, Alexander. Let me see. All right. And so it sounds like you're trying to cut down a story. And so you've got the story that is long, 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 and you're trying to find out how to cut it down. So there are two options here. I think you need to ask yourself, if you have a really, really long manuscript and you know this is not a single book, you have two options and two questions to ask yourself. Number one, should this be 2 or 3 books? I have seen people who come there like, yeah, I've got this book. It'll probably be around, I don't know, like 800 pages. And I laugh and say, that's not a book, that's 3 books. If your story is really important, if everything is integral, see if you have more than one book in one manuscript. See if it can be broken up. If your book just has some fluff, that's when an editor can be fantastic. A content editor can help you read that book and break down. Maybe you've got 2-page descriptions of the landscape. Well, that was really popular in the time of Mary Shelley and Frankenstein. It's not so much popular now. So a good editor will go on and be like, hey, you used 2 pages for this. You really could do this in a paragraph. Does this dialogue add anything to your story? A content editor is the person who will help you really trim the fat from your book so that you have a streamlined, to the point product that keeps your reader going from page to page with anticipation rather than like, can I skip ahead some? And so it sounds like maybe you need a content editor. Of course, cost and time depends on the editor. Ask for the work, ask for a estimate, and all of that. All right, Linda, there is someone who does a big book cover critique a couple of times a year. He has pictures of the covers and talks about what is great and not so great about them. Unfortunately, I can't remember who it is. Linda, we'd love to know. I know a lot of people do that. We see a lot of book cover design articles from the book designer. I think Brian Cohen has done some. There are a lot of people who do those. We do it privately. I very much try not to publicly shame people if they have bad covers, but in the privacy of my own home, I certainly do. And we have people who will come to us and say, hey, what do you think about my cover? And if you honestly ask, we'll give you an honest opinion. But I think really, it depends on what is selling and what's in the market right now. If you showed me a book cover that's going out right now, and you'd asked me 2 years ago if it was a good book cover, I would have laughed and been like, absolutely not, that's horrible. But it's the style right now, it's what's selling. So I think it's important you know your comps, you're looking at current comps, and you look at what's coming from the publishing houses, the big publishing houses in the next year or so, and you make sure that your book kind of can stand up with those. All right, guys, it's 11 o'clock. I think we got through all of our questions. Thank you so much for joining me today. You guys had great questions today. Again, my name is Keri Barnum. I'm the marketing director for New Shelves Books. This is Free Advice Friday. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that we see you next week at 10 a.m. Eastern. Bye, guys. Have a good weekend.